Ride Upon the Storm, which is a Walter Presents box set, which you can watch all of now. There are 2 series in its native land. We've only got the one here. It's about a family of priests led by Lars Mikkelsen as Johannes, this sort of holier-than-thou head priest who loses out of the job of bishop fairly early on in the first episode and goes on a downward spiral. But it follows his whole family, his wife Elizabeth, his son Christian, who's a bit of the black sheep, and because he's not a priest doesn't get the appreciation from Johannes, and then his son August, who is a priest and is lavished with a load of praise from father and can do no wrong. So it's about their dynamic, and I'm not a particularly religious person, but I found the family at the centre of this really interesting. It tells stories. I've seen it all again because apparently I have an empty life.
I was going to say, you've had a lot of time on your hands. You've finished
I have.
series.
I must have just been sitting down for like 2 weeks. But I'm going on about you not having any fresh air. I'm lucky I went out today. I really, really would urge anyone who likes a bit of depth and maybe a bit of, I don't know, it's not very religious. I know that's a daft thing to say, that religion isn't at the centre of it, but it does ask some very interesting questions. The characters are all very interesting. This was the one, Ed, that you struggled with. Is that because foreign drama isn't something you that interested in, or just the subject matter didn't compel you?
I think that subtitles are something that take a little while to get used to. Once you're used to them, you can obviously engage. I mean, my job I generally focus on sort of mass market programs that are getting 6-7 million viewers, because that's who I figure readers are more likely to be watching. They're more likely to watch Baptiste and The Bay and sort of mainstream comedies and things like that. So I'm more likely to write about Baptiste than I am Fleabag, for example. And so this isn't the sort of thing I would normally watch for work or focus on. But obviously it has these sorts of programs, these sorts of dramas have a place, and then they are popular. Lars Mikkelsen, who I'd seen before in Sherlock, I knew was very good. I think he's really great in this. I've only seen one episode, but he's obviously, you straight away want to know more about him and see how he gets on. And his character is very complicated. There's this amazing scene in the episode I watched where a woman says she's a bit nervous about getting married, and he starts out being really polite about it and saying, "Oh, you'll be fine," and then in the end he starts screaming at her not to get married, because he says you're not gonna be faithful, so just don't do it. And then also in the episode I watched, there was a really important bit about one of them's been out on the front line and he's come back, and I'm pretty sure from what I've seen he's suffering from PTSD and sort of mental issues. And I mean, I think that in itself is important, because you just don't see much of that on television. I think that's an issue that probably isn't covered a great deal on television, and yet obviously it affects lots of people. So I think there's so much to take from this program. I think if you can get past the subtitles, you'll probably get more out of it than you expect.
Matt, what about you? Because you had 10 minutes left of the second episode when we spoke earlier.
Yeah.
Is it good in your eyes? Because I know how I feel. I really enjoyed it. So what did you think?
I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm going to carry on. How many episodes are there?
10.
10. Because I like certain elements of it. As Ed said, Lars Mikkelsen is completely fantastic. I think he's such a compelling screen presence. You sort of see his downfall throughout the second half of the first episode and into episode 2 as well. There's that sort of scene at the funeral where he just basically falls into the grave, doesn't he?
Yeah, something out of Absolutely Fabulous. Yeah.
Or I was thinking Father Ted when they let Dougal do the funeral, but
sure.
Or Friends, that happened in as well, didn't it? Anyway, is it Grandma's funeral where Ross falls into the grave because he's on some sort of medication or something?
I feel we've drifted slightly.
Okay, that's just me. But yeah, I liked the storyline with his son August when you get into the second episode when he goes to Afghanistan, I believe.
Yes.
And he goes out on tour with them and things happen. I found that the most compelling of the 2 episodes that I watched. I found that the weakest moments was when you focused on Christy and the other son, because he's the black sheep of the clan. You know, he came across as quite entitled. You know, he hasn't really worked. He's cheated on his dissertation. He just comes across as quite, you know, the world owes me something. And I found
he has a really interesting arc that I won't spoil.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I've got the time to fit this in at the moment, even though you have raved about it quite a lot on Twitter.
Well, I really raved about it because I thought it was really good, and people won't know it's there. Like Ed says, we talk about the bigger 9 o'clock mainstream dramas, and this isn't that. This is hidden away on All 4, and I think it's on late Sunday nights on Channel 4. So I wanted people to know that it was a thing, and it's available, and it's good, and it's worth your time. So that's all there on All 4, Ride Upon the Storm.